Thank you everyone for joining us today to talk about CRO and your ESP whenever you're working through a migration. So if you're here, a migration is in your current life, it is in your future. And so this is really an ideal webinar to view in order to get those first steps kind of figured out, and then what that process looks like long term, all the way to launch date from a CRO and ESP perspective. So to me, that means the on-site experience and then how we're capturing data and using that data. So we will get into it now. So the first thing I would love to call out here and that we'll start with is the migration timeline. So there is a timeline that we would want to stick with. And ideally, this is to make sure all of our ducks in a row, that everyone that needs to know what's going on is aware, and that everyone's had a chance to provide their feedback in how this may impact their day to day or just how they communicate and work with your team. So first, we want to start off with the evaluation, of course. So figuring out who we're going to be working with moving forward after this migration happens. So going through those demos, doing the research, and asking really great questions during that time. So take the demos to understand what are others seeing about your website that you are not seeing. In addition to that, we want to understand what can be negotiated and what that contract looks like. So as far as negotiation, every business is different. So really see what business really see what business is willing to work with you in what areas. For example, we have a lot of custom code that is necessary at times to execute custom requests, which we're all about, right? But that could be part of a contract that custom code is not available, and that you may want to understand what kind of support am I getting out of this new platform or this new setup. We also want to understand who is actually going to be approving this and who is going to ultimately be using it. So those are two different cases and use cases, right? And who could be dealing with a platform and using that platform from either a day-to-day review or a day-to-day actual use. Then we move into prep work, right? So this could be 1 to 2 months of internal preparation. And depending on how you currently have your setup and what you are migrating to, this could be a lot more work or a little easier on your end as far as getting everything together internally. So this is where we're informing people that are non-stakeholders, maybe won't be using the platform as much, of what's going on, but ultimately everything affects something in the end. So that's where we want to communicate this. And that's really helpful if you want to have any kind of one-pagers based off of what's changing versus what it used to be. So really answering those questions here in a helpful FAQ, or opening up some sort of workshop for others to review this migration or what it may entail. So the migration is coming, 3 months of actual migration. So this is going to be more of your product reviews, URL structures, things that may be different and are really more about how the platform and the website is set up. So you should have a QA team, someone or some team that's going to review this site from a great experience, from a really not great experience, to maybe your worst experience, and finding those little areas where we can remove any kind of friction and which would hinder someone from continuing into that sales funnel on site. We also want to understand that trainings may be necessary, right? The way that you understand a platform may not really resonate with someone else and how they use it and how it relates to their day to day. So having someone to conduct those trainings, or depending on the platform that you're using, having those trainings available and that training time is really great. And perhaps that's something that you could negotiate. And we also want to ensure, along with this, that members have access to all of anything that they would need to work in the platform. And a lot of times that just comes with having the right platform access, but also understanding where to access and who really needs to be in the know if any changes are made. So having that sort of line of duty to understand where changes may be made and who can make them. And then once we have finally migrated, this is where data has already been migrated. We're understanding how to use the tool to its fullest, maybe not executing right away, but at least understanding what is possible. And we're also wanting at this time to request an audit by the apps team. So we're wanting to check out new features and really understand what can work together and where we can just remove any kind of friction at that point too between platforms or applications working together. So your email service provider and Justuno, they will work together, before and after your migration. But ideally, if you're moving to a new platform and exploring a migration, it's because we're trying to solve for something, right? And we're trying to make our lives easier or trying to understand where we may need extra support. So in this case, when we're thinking about your email service provider and Justuno, it is an opportunity for a fresh start on site in how we build out a campaign with pop-ups and emails to how we capture that data on site. So number one, whenever you're thinking about this aspect of your migration, is we want to focus on how we're going to replicate or mimic what you currently have. So we want to get started quickly. It's kind of understanding what's got to go and what's going to stay, and really understanding where we can improve those. So maybe that's starting out with an A/B test in the beginning. We also want to test integration. So, turning it on, going through the act of integrating, that's one thing, but testing and making sure that information is passing through with no issues is the second part of that. So sometimes that's something that can kind of be thrown in a little last minute. And that's something that it can easily be checked in the beginning. And if everything is set up properly, that's great. And if not, then we can work with each other to make sure that's sending the right information. Data transfer is key. So making sure that you're not losing out on anyone that could be already signed up and have that relationship with you. We already have that info. So let's rely on that and build off of that information by asking other questions. So our priority focus is really setting up a good baseline. Moving on to point number 2 here, we want to make sure that we're compliant as we make this move too. So a lot of excitement in a migration, I understand that. And in this case, I'm kind of speaking more towards SMS compliance, making sure that you are asking for email in the best ways, that coupon codes and offers are being delivered in the correct way, and also based off of segments, right? That we're also accounting for where people are coming from on site and what offers they should be receiving. And then point 3 here, when we're dealing and thinking about a migration, is it's a great opportunity to enhance what we're currently doing on site. So for us, this could mean introducing a survey. And I've seen some really great surveys executed before the holidays where we're looking for that customer data that could influence the offers that we're going to present, how long our extended sale lasts for, and maybe even what bundles we're showing on site if we want to get that specific. In data collection, knowing what channels are emerging, whether it's TikTok or whether it's Pinterest, that's really great to know to understand how is that traffic behaving once they arrive on site, and can we also mimic that when it comes to other channels. In addition to this, I love this next one. We have hidden fields, and hidden fields are great. That's sending over data that's very easy to help you in your workflow for email or SMS. So that could be, for example, us sending over a coupon code that's already used in the pop-up to your email service provider so that you can use it in your emails. In that sense, we're allowing the visitor to stick with one coupon code. You're not handing out a bunch of coupon codes out there for anyone to see either. And we're keeping that whole flow really steady the whole time because we're not creating any kind of confusion by throwing in another type of offer there, coupon code. And then the last point here we have is location. So that's really great for any kind of retailers out there that target or have an audience in a certain part of the country or a certain part of the world, right? We can target and provide different copy and different information as far as offers related to where they are. So this could impact your shipping offers or any kind of shipping delays, right? We can also use geo-targeting. So if we already know where they're from, we can kind of anticipate what their question may be or what their next step may be. Great. So here I've pulled up an example ESP migration process. We have 3 phases here, so we can think about it in those boxes, from core needs, refinement, and then pre-launch. So in core needs, we're trying to get the basics ready. So your new platform should be helping you in growing in a different way, or kind of growing in what you see yourself in the future. And a lot of that here at this point has to do with data and how we're consolidating it, making sure that it's living in one place as it should moving forward. And with all this data, this can also mean we're learning new ways to target or segment our visitors in pop-ups. So where we come in is using all of this data to retarget, or capturing all this data to inform further and build that relationship with your brand. Then we move on to refinement. So preparing for those day-to-day scenarios that are happening. So a new visitor opting into SMS, right? Or somebody opting in to receive an ebook and going through that flow of getting more information. All of this refinement is ideally what's happening so that you can grow and really learn to look at that data from your baseline and learn what could be tested, or where you can replicate what you built out for a certain segment and use it for another segment. So when it comes to refinement, right, think about those segments that are working for you right now and how you can build off of them and use that as inspiration for testing or for holiday time, to be a little more specific for right now. So then our last phase here is pre-launch. So we have our final step before we go live. And this is a great time, if we have the time, to build out any other type of workflow that we think is going to work best for us. And we want to do continued segmentation of what makes sense for us, maybe based on season or on what we have in stock. So continued segmentation based on what you're working on internally. Again, in phase 3, we are in pre-launch. So we do have metrics and goals in place. And this is where we're really kind of being ready to gather data and set timeframes for us to review data and understand maybe when an adjustment needs to be made. So phase 3 ends with testing and making sure that you're getting that data from your site to your email service provider. And that's not only making sure we are getting that data, but making sure we can use it. And is it actually actionable for us in the end? When it comes to migration, we do want to view it from your marketing tech stack perspective as well. When I say that, I mean what's going to work together within all these integrations and how are they going to work together? So we'll hop into that right now. So when it comes to this platform migration and you have all these apps working together, this is my go-to checklist for clients and kind of figuring out where we need to focus in those 6 months, right, of preparation, and what maybe falls into our phase 1 or phase 3 based on what they already have set up and how things are going to work together. So first, we want to start off with review what your lead capture may cover and where it could fire. So in this, I'm talking more about the design aspect of your website. So new themes could be covered by pop-ups in different ways that you hadn't anticipated. So that's more in phase 3, right? We're actively testing on site. But if you see that happens, test something else out and track that data for however long where you feel like you're getting enough sessions to understand what adjustments you could make. But I do see this as something that can be missed easily. And not only do we want to think about it on a homepage or a product page, but really every page. So your thank you page, your checkout page, any kind of blog page, where could a pop-up or what content could a pop-up really cover? And primarily, I should say clicks, any kind of clicks or actions that could lead someone to continue on site. That leads into the second one. So review what happens when someone adds an item to cart. So that's kind of the next step, right? Someone's done some browsing and researching, and then they add something to cart. That's awesome. So we want to review what happens in that sense. And we want to review it separately on desktop and mobile. So on desktop, do you have a slide out cart or do you have the visitor being directed to your cart page already? And we also want to think about, when is the coupon code applied and how is that applied? It's very easy to apply a coupon code with a Justuno pop-up, but depending on what other platforms you're using, maybe that coupon code needs a URL to be initiated and reloaded for that coupon code to be applied. So really look through those small experiences that could cause any kind of frustration or friction in the end. The third point we have here is confirm that Justuno is reading cart information as intended to fire pop-ups properly. So that sounds like kind of like a mouthful, but what we're really wanting to do is ensuring that if you are adding an item to cart, making sure that Justuno or any app that you're using at that point is understanding when an item is being added to cart and firing the correct promotion based on that cart threshold at the moment. So this could be, for example, if you are giving an offer of a free gift for $30 and over in your cart, then we want to make sure that that person truly has $30 in their cart and that they don't have something like maybe just gift cards in their cart, right? Maybe that's not the best offer for them. So little things like that to make the offer make sense for them at the right time. On our fourth point here, we have review any on-site hiccups and friction that could cause a visitor to exit the new site layout. So to me, that could mean your site navigation just being not easily accessible on mobile, or certain clicks leading to maybe not where they would want to be led to, and they might think they're being led somewhere else. So this could be just any hiccups, and when you're reviewing this layout and why someone may be exiting, that's exactly where a pop-up could come into play in delivering the right messaging. So maybe that's CTA clicks leading to your blog, or a CTA click to download a really great ebook that you just developed for any kind of seasonal gift guide, right? Now's a great time for that. So that's what could be leading someone to exit, just not having enough information, and where pop-ups can come into play for you. And point number 5 here, we want to review the post-purchase experience. So at this point, right, they've added something to cart. Now they've already gotten your product. So what information are you sharing about the product? And how are your post-purchase tools working together? That's a really great question to ask yourself, because you may be trying to upsell and cross-sell with one tool and trying to capture their SMS, their phone number with Justuno. So it's kind of making sure, well, it's actually making sure that those two experiences are firing for the correct person, right? And that it's firing at the right spot on the page. So we're not covering any kind of information that they want to know about their product and what they just bought. So at this point, really, really be intentional about what you're showing is what I would say. And we didn't mention it in this slide, but that could also be any kind of quiz that you want to present here. A quiz ideally would be gathering more information from someone that has already showed interest in your brand, right? So we shouldn't feel too hesitant in going into this and trying to learn more about someone that has clearly already tried to learn more about us by purchasing a product and using it. So, along with asking for reviews, right, of products, ask about the person and remember that they're using your products. They're going to be talking about it later on. So, they're a really good idea of who your audience will be and who it is. And our last point here is review back-end organization. So this is a good call out for product recommendation tools and making sure that you have tags and categories set up correctly and efficiently, so that whenever we're going in to use Justuno, for example, to recommend products based off of what's set up in cart, we're actually able to maybe just use it based off of the tag instead of using an algorithm. And this tag could be based off of or set up based on what your visitors have been bundling by themselves. So maybe what we're showing isn't what's going to be sold at this moment because of a trend or a seasonality aspect. All right, so at this point, I'm going to review the website and walk through different touch points on the website where they saw an impact based on the pop-up that we were showing and the message that we were showing there. So to start off with, I'm just on the home page, and at this point, I'm coming to the site as a new visitor. So I'm going to just go ahead and refresh my page because I just did a little refresh on my end for my profile. So we've done a refresh. And as a visitor, we have different touch points right now where if I add something to cart, I should receive something as sort of a next step to continue to my conversion. And if I attempt to leave, I will also receive a message. So we'll see how those are both set up throughout this experience. So on this homepage right now, I am going to just browse all the way down. This is a really great homepage setup. And when we compare it to their previous setup, a lot of these images are now clickable and we're able to see these offers that they're showing here mimicked throughout pop-ups on site. So it's really great all the way through with the whole similar messaging and keeping the offer really clear because they can have a lot of different offers based on their products. Cool. So this is a great call out too. Trending on TikTok. Saw it, bought it. So we're seeing this with products that are being called out on TikTok as popular, useful, kind of being rediscovered, if anything. So with this call out on their homepage, this is a great example of we could show a similar pop-up based on something that someone has offered and provide a special unique discount code or offer for it, or even just kind of next step based on them coming from TikTok or having seen something related to that product. So it's a great way just to kind of give that social proof with it too. Like TikTok, I feel like has its own social proof attached to it because it is so like video heavy and really kind of showing you exactly how something is working and how something can work together. So that's a great. I love to see that on the homepage. And you can see too here that we're able to have these opt-ins for email and text really easily on their website. So this can also be accomplished in a pop-up way set up as an in-page on your site. So it meshes really well with the platform. Or it can be its own separate pop-up in the form of a tab on your site. So here, for example, in the bottom left-hand corner, you could have a little tab that could open up the pop-up for you later on. And this could be a lead capture or a quiz, right, to learn more about these visitors. So let me go ahead and go through the process then of just what I could expect here on site. So let's say I'm dealing with a lot of frizz. Let's go ahead and try to explore this product a little more. And maybe I've already heard about this really awesome Dream Coat anti-frizz treatment via their email or via SMS, right? That could be something that's led me here. Or like I said, I'm a totally new visitor at this point. So I'm still exploring. I'm going to go ahead and just act, as if I'm reading through everything. Really great to see videos here for engagement, which depending on your platform and the reason you may be migrating, this kind of theme may be what you're looking for and what could really help lead me as a visitor through the process of discovery or just kind of further thinking about like where this product or where you as a brand stacks up to other products and brands that I'm researching at the same time. So these are really great images to show a lot of social proof here and images that can be used in pop-ups. This is a really great you may also like element here. So giving product recommendations with Justuno, you can take this to the next level and showcase products here or maybe a little bit higher so we're not scrolling as far based off of what a visitor has purchased before. So really kind of leading them into creating their own bundle but at more of a slower pace, right? Visit by visit, and using that information that we've gathered from your previous customers to influence that type of pop up. So here in this case, I'll go through one motion, which is I'm going to add this to cart. And so we'll see here I have a slide out cart immediately, which is great. We'd have to check out the mobile experience and see if that's the same. But in this case, we already have a complete your routine offer, which I love to see this in this slide out cart. This can be accomplished with an app, with Justuno, for example. This could be an in-page pop-up is what we call it. And it could look just like this and kind of something similar to being able to add something to cart or just scroll through products related to what you have in cart. So I love this. And then you also see the spend however much and get a free whatever it is offer. So these are just really good callouts and all very clear still as far as what I have in cart and what I have left to spend in subtotal. So from here, I'm just going to close that out. Typically someone might not hang on that page too long in that first click. And then immediately we're given this, or we're served this pop-up here on the left-hand side. So you can see this is calling out how far away I am from a free gift, which is different than what we were seeing previously as far as free shipping. And we're $32 away from that. So we've done some quick math on the Justuno side. I've got $28 in cart. And you'll see this is the same offer as this top banner here in the right-hand side of the slide out cart. So we're mimicking that offer. If it's causing any kind of confusion, this is where having the same offer and message there can really go a long way, and just being that repetitive and making sure that we're kind of dismissing that, or not dismissing, or diffusing that confusion. So here, you'll see that stays open. So it's giving us more detail on what value we can expect. In the pop-up, we're able to attach images, so make it a little bit more dynamic. You can get even more dynamic with this and showing a GIF or a quick video, kind of maybe scrolling through some images. In this case, we have a static image, and then we're calling out a shop now, and then any disclaimer for the sale. So being very clear in what is offered. And this setup is so great because we're not blocking anything that has to do with the add to cart function or this slide out. And you may have noticed that this pop-up, it did not show up until after this was closed. So that process, or that was set up within the rule set here to avoid any kind of misfire and really allow a visitor to focus on this messaging before they're served something to distract them. So this is great. If we go to shop now here, we're taken to the next offer. And just remember that we do have to reach a certain threshold. So we let a visitor here in order to keep browsing to ideally add something to cart. Taking this example to the next level, you can serve something based off of what they've purchased or what is currently in their cart. So now that if they've added that product, right, what really goes well with that, or what other information can we provide to help them use the product in the best way? All right, so at this point, we've added something to cart and we've gotten a pop-up to trigger. And this pop-up triggering has led us to the next step of continuing to add something to cart. So at this point, we can consider a visitor with a little bit more intent. They've engaged with a pop-up and they've added an item to cart. So that could lead us to fire a pop-up upon exit. And for us, that means if I'm breaking this site barrier or clicking this back button, for example, that could trigger an exit pop-up. And for Color Wow, that's exactly what we have set up as far as an exit, and where it can fire depends on if someone has already engaged in this way with an add to cart, or if they have still yet to add something to cart, but have been on site and engaging in an exiting manner. So those are two locations where we can highlight or really target based off of actions on site, as well as, if you see a visitor trying to buy with Amazon Pay. You can consider other products that maybe that work well with that product, or other products in categories as well that work well with that product and category. So just different ways that you can approach it, whether if it's at a high level or if it's at a really a smaller level as far as the influencer or the type of product and category. On their website, this is where we'll also see an example of a tab that opens up into a lead capture. So this strategy can be implemented to increase engagement and really allow your visitor to decide and feel like they have the power to decide when they can see this offer, or when they can kind of be intruded upon on the website whenever they're traveling, right? Pop-ups are something that should be really thought through as far as the flow and how you expect a visitor to travel on site and engage with your brand. So this is a great example of having it available, but it's not in my face and it's not blocking any kind of content that I, as a visitor, would want to see or engage with on site. So scrolling down on their product page, you can also see they've got this great integration that pulls in their Instagram callouts or their Instagram feed in a way here to provide that social proof and show visitors that, there are other people using this and another way to explore the brand, which Instagram is a great way because you do get a lot of that like visual, right? And that goes along with TikTok as well. So I love that they have their hashtag here. So it makes it really easy to want to engage with and feel like you're just a part of their community. So that building that kind of community is what can really lead into your loyalty programs and creating that sense of like, yes, I want to be a part of their loyalty program. It's the best, and like that's what will lead to a next purchase. So having those different touch points and leading to either like VIP or the blog, for examples, or videos, I think that's what we want to see on site to keep visitors engaged with the brand. And when you're dealing with the migration, right, things may change like this navigation menu. So if you have this navigation menu different, like really highlight maybe the new additions to your navigation menu with a pop-up and just showcasing new sale items or seasonal items. That could be something to just keep someone on site and not get frustrated in any kind of way or lost in any kind of way and feel like they don't know your brand at all. Another good call out, let me hop over here to a category page. So something that you may see with your migration is that your navigation here and your filtering may change as well. So this is really great as you set up this new website to highlight different ways to use your website, different ways to browse products. So for example, just this navigation, right? Having a little pop-up arrow here with some messaging as far as like, hey, don't forget, this is really easy to use. That can be a really great lead into continuing to browse on site and not leaving it just because, they can't find what they're looking for. Another great call out here for just how you can target visitors would be based on if they're signed into their account. So knowing if they are maybe more of that VIP status by signing in, or it could just lead us to maybe give them special offers or select products shown at the right time. So all these little cues that we see on site are what can change based on what platform you're using or what apps you're using together. So this is a really awesome example of a migration that was thought out and executed with plenty of time for QA. And then the launch date went as intended as far as pop-ups going live when we wanted, and that whole experience being complete as far as where visitors come from and matching that messaging. So I hope you can take this with and use it as an example for you developing your current plan or your holiday plan, and just little areas where that can make a big impact on AOV and lead capture. It's really great to see their site migrated at this point and using tools that target the cart, target if a visitor has engaged with pop-ups before, if they're coming from a certain channel. Those are all unique ways to use Justuno that provide a really personalized experience on site and don't allow for a visitor to get the same flow every time, right? It's based off of what they're coming from and just where they are in that moment and engaging with your brand. So results here, we can see our email opt-ins increased along with the engaged conversion rates. And with that, we mean that they engaged with a pop-up and that was the last item they engaged with before they converted. So it's impactful when this type of pop-up, for example, this free gift right here, fires upon exit or upon an add to cart click. So that's a little earlier in the funnel, and these visitors are still converting from that. We also were able to implement different types of offers based off of channel. So, for example, we targeted the Pinterest channel and presented a special coupon code and related it to a Pinterest offer. So, really acknowledging where they were coming from and making sure that they knew, like, we know that you're coming from a really great source where we're providing content for you to engage with. So here's your special offer to use in this time frame. So that timer that we had added to give that sense of urgency went a long way as well. And we can see that leading to an increase in their average order value, as well as an average session value with engagement increase. So all of that really leading to an increase in their conversions and from an individual perspective, an increase in that spend because we were able to offer a free gift at the right time and a lead capture when it made sense. So I'm really excited to see how this brand will go into this holiday season with this latest update to their website. And we can look to compare that to last year's and see overall what that whole experience of migration did for their website. Great. So that wraps it up for our tech stack migration review and what you can really look to, what the game plan can be, and what you can kind of structure it around in order to be set up in the best way possible in the end and not be scrambling or wondering what is working together and how. So I would really encourage you to, when you partner with apps or look into this migration, look to see who's really going to be assisting you with doing kind of the being in the weeds part of this and testing, setting things up, and making sure that everything's really working together. I think that can be a really big part in making sure that you understand what is available so that you can make the most out of everything that you're using. So happy selling. I hope that this was really useful and helpful, and feel free to reach out if you have any questions. Thanks.